that before TaoCrowd actually came together, we were already using freelancers for our writing projects. Now that we have TaoCrowd, it's become a much easier way for us to just have all of our excess tasks taken care of ahead of time. Our main problem was really that we had too many tasks and we didn't have enough resources. So we didn't have enough people. It is hard to find good writers pretty much anywhere in the world. With TaoCrowd, it allows us to broaden the field and access a lot of talent that we would otherwise not have access to. Right now, we outsource already at least around 50% of our day-to-day tasks. So I'd recommend TaoCrowd. Number one, because the freelancers that are on the TaoCrowd platform, our partners, are already pre-screened. As a client, you can be confident that these are people that already know what they're doing, that these are people who will provide you with the results that you want. And apart from that, we also have a QA process. Anything that comes out of TaoCrowd is going to be QA'd. That assures clients that whatever it is that they're going to be getting isn't just something that's raw, that hasn't had anybody take a second look at it. That's not really something that you get from other platforms. And if you're a freelancer and you're thinking about joining, a platform, the one good thing about TaoCrowd that the other platforms don't have is definitely the healthcare component. The gigs are consistent, pretty much have a regular schedule of tasks to roll out, and these are already well defined, so don't expect any scope creep or anything like that, because we pretty much know what we're doing, so that when we task out, we know more or less how much time it's going to take, etc. So that way there's no guesswork for our partners as well.
I am Davis Frigao and I'm a production supervisor at August 99. I manage a team of front-end web developers and content integration specialists. In the past few years, one of the main challenges that we had was how to augment our staff to accommodate more clients during peak seasons. During those times, my team would produce anywhere between 80 to 120 WordPress sites per month. That meant increased delivery times, as well as more overtime work for my team. However, after partnering with TaoCrowd for more than a year now, we are able to outsource about 20 to 40% of the front-end web development work that we do internally. That meant better client satisfaction and higher team morale. I am extremely grateful to all our TaoCrowd partners who have helped us make it possible.
Hello TaoCrowd! Happy anniversary! I hope and pray for your success in contributing to the freelance community here in the Philippines. More power to you and happy anniversary!
TaoCrowd provides good opportunities for freelance writers. Noe and her team are professionals who are easy to work with and give excellent guidance. I've been writing for them since the start and hope to continue writing for them for a long time. Happy anniversary, TaoCrowd!
Hello TaoCrowd, this is Richmond and happy first anniversary. I'm so grateful that TaoCrowd hired me as a freelance SEO specialist. The people here are great. I like the management and the team. My experience with TaoCrowd has exceeded my expectations. I was fortunate enough to have experience firsthand and learn many different sides of what an SEO does. The team I'm in is really supportive and encouraging. It is like we have been working together for a long time. That attitude helps me to become more motivated given that we are in a remote setting. I really enjoy working with great people and I'm looking forward for more projects with you guys.
The anniversary, TaoCrowd! Congratulations for weathering this scary pandemic and celebrating a very important day, our first anniversary. This anniversary is more than just any celebration. It's a celebration of the triumph of the human spirit to think beyond the pandemic, not to be scared of the things that are going around as long as you are protected, of course, and just to forge on to do what you want to do, to be as creative as possible. And look where we are now. We are looking forward to bigger things, especially after this pandemic. And thank you because my journey has been also empowering, especially with important people who have helped me make this journey worthwhile. There's Miss Snowy for empowering me, for instructing me to do what I think is best for the article and not to follow the outline strictly and do as I see fit. Thank you because that shows you're confident in what I can do and what I can still do. And it is so very, makes me feel good. Thank you, Cess, Dinky, Vanna, Brenda, for improving my work and teaching me how I can do better. Thank you, Giselle, for answering my many questions, no matter how busy you are. So, happy anniversary, and I hope we can see each other after the pandemic, see each other face to face, and here's to the triumph of the creative spirit to make the world a better place to live in, to make the world brighter despite everything. Thank you.
It's been a year since I became a TaoCrowd partner, and I'm very thankful for all the opportunities and new skills that I've learned in these trying times. As a newbie in the freelancing world, I really enjoyed my experience here because the people in TaoCrowd are super kind and very approachable.
Good afternoon, tech experts, creatives, writers, our clients and partners, and to all freelancers all over the Philippines. My name is Bernice Boniface, and I'm the group head of People and Culture at August 99 and TaoCrowd. Now we're back with a new Tao Tuesday episode, and today's show might feel a bit new for everyone because true to the nature and mission of Tao Crowd, that is enabling work from anywhere in the Philippines, I'm at home, and so are the rest of the speakers for this afternoon. Now, just to let you know, or a little caveat, the speakers were actually interviewed beforehand to ensure that we capture the important parts of their talk. But nonetheless, feel free to include in the comment section dyan sa ating Facebook and YouTube streams all your questions, inquiries, or comments. We'll be sure to get back to you. Basically, we'll compile them and then post them on our social media accounts in 3 days or, give us until Friday para naman we can compile them, summarize them, and you can review and read back at your own time and convenience. All right, now before we go on, I'd like to do a quick recap of what Tao Crowd is all about. So, just to refresh everyone's memory, Tao Crowd is the fastest growing freelancer network for creatives in the Philippines. Now, this community is for Filipinos by Filipinos. Now, our successful partners here are guaranteed 20 gigs every week. We post this on our Tao Crowd Slack channel, and all these projects are guaranteed with zero project fees. Another perk, siguro, if you join the community is that we give or extend benefits to our freelancers once they level up within the Tao Crowd community. So if this is something that excites you, the other bit I'm going to share might even excite you more because now that we've reached our first anniversary, happy anniversary to Tao Crowd, we are basically continuously expanding the network and now are on the lookout for new roles that will add to our roster. Now, ano ba itong mga new roles? If you might ask, that we wanted to onboard with our teams. Of course, there's still the tech roles that we're looking for, the front end web developers, our full stack developers, and also our software engineers. But at the same time, we're still looking for, or we're now looking for SEO specialists as well as, of course, our content writers and now client facers too in project management and virtual assistants. So if you think you fit the bill in any of these roles, feel free to sign up in the community. Now, you might ask, ano ba yung sign-up process for TaoCrowd? It's actually very simple. Just visit the website. That's taocrowd.com. Again, that's taocrowd.com. Or you may you may search rather the word TaoCrowd on LinkedIn and all the other social media platforms. So that's Instagram, Facebook. Feel free to follow us on YouTube as well para ma-view nyo all the previous Tao Tuesday episodes that we have. All right. Now, speaking of Tao Tuesday, going back to this afternoon's episode, the talk for today is geared towards developers, tech natives, knowledge based professionals who would like to learn about best practices on project management. So basically, today's topic is better project management for freelance developers. And our first speaker this afternoon is Mr. Bernd Rennebeck, the CTO of August 99 and CEO of Oculo. So here's Bernd.
Hi, I'm Bernd Rennebeck. I'm the CTO of August 99 and the CEO of Oculo. So basically, what I do is I manage all of the technological strategy and implementation for August 99. And then for Oculo, I manage the company strategy, product strategy, how we're going to move forward, and so on. So the first job that I actually ever had was programming for a marketing firm. I think I was in eighth grade. I was 12 or something like that. So it was a part-time job. You're only allowed to work like 20 hours per week when you're under the age of 16 in the US, and so that's how I started. Then, as I became older, I started working for an engineering firm, doing project management and installation on construction sites. Then I moved back into technology as a project manager for August 99 and the design people, and gradually worked my way up through the company. So ever since I've been a small kid, I've always loved computers and technology. I learned how to program when I was very young. My dad brought back home a computer that he was using at the office, and I learned how to use the DOS prompt, QBasic, etc. And so ever since then, I've just really been a big fan of technology, and it's been my passion. So that's kind of what's led me along this path, really. Sure. So I've worked on a pretty wide variance of projects. I've done everything from managing simple website projects to large construction projects with month-long time frames, to custom software and application projects, and kind of everything in between there. In all of these different projects, you have lots of different personalities and different people. Sometimes you have clients that are very demanding, or you have time-sensitive tasks that are happening, and sometimes you have very laissez-faire or easygoing people that you're working with, and so that always has a bunch of different competing priorities and personalities. Definitely one of the biggest things is time management and deadline priorities. That can be very difficult, especially if you're managing multiple projects. If you're doing multiple websites with multiple clients, making sure that you're staying on top of client communication and informing clients of updates, that can be very challenging. For sure, I guess one of the most difficult times was when I had first started with the design people in August 99. There would be cases where we would manage up to 60, 70 client projects. And so making sure that you're actually corresponding with them, you're following up on the tasks that are happening, you're able to plot out your time per day, how you're going to speak to different people, and stay on top of all of that is probably the best example that I have. Really coming up with a time management regimen is is one of the most important things you can do. Being able to block off time and not get distracted by other things is really key, and staying in the flow, so to speak. So that's setting aside time first thing in the morning to handle your emails, make sure you knock that out. Then next, going through, following up on the tasks that had due dates today, and then planning for other incoming tasks and how you're going to put that out. That's I guess the best recommendation I have, a good time management regimen. I think communication and good communication skills are probably one of the most critical. Being able to effectively communicate with your clients what is happening in the project, where roadblocks are, where other issues are, where you are in the process is key to having a happy client and keeping them informed. And just as important is the ability to say no to unrealistic requests. If a request comes in and they want it tomorrow, but it can't happen, and you end up saying yes to that, it's just going to make the situation worse. You have to be able to say no. That's not really possible. This is what we can do. So really, communication is critical, I think, as far as other skills go.
So for me, most of management is happening via video calls, like we're doing now, emails and Slack. It can be a little bit difficult because you're constantly staying on top of so many different forms of communication. So ensuring that you have a good way of working and you're able to properly manage your time is one of the key skills that you need for doing that, right? But at the same time, it also makes things a little bit easier in some respects, because if I'm working on something critical and somebody has a question for me, they'll just email me now, or they'll Slack me or whatever. Whereas before, a lot of the times, if I was in the middle of coding something, it wouldn't be uncommon for somebody to come and knock on my door and pop their head in the office, which kind of messes up your focus sometimes. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. But yeah, I guess really the only way through it is having a good tasking system and being able to properly coordinate your time and your efforts. Sure. So I use a few different things depending on who I'm working with and what we're doing. I try to be a little bit more flexible and work around other people's needs. That's not always the best thing, but that's what I try and do. So I have Trello for some of the projects with some of the people I work with. My personal tasks are in Todoist, so it's just simple task managing. Those are the two big asynchronous task managers that we use. Then for like official company projects, like large long-term projects, you'll find a lot of that in Jira. So our teams are working in Jira. All of the sprints happen there, and so there's definitely a few different pieces of software running, but it seems to be kind of picking and choosing the best for the right tool for the right job, I guess you would say. And for small projects, like I said, that would be in like Trello or something. But my personal tasks end up in Todoist because it's just a list of things. But yeah, so it really depends on what the project is or what I'm trying to accomplish. So yeah, that's about it. Okay, so yeah, this is Q Time. It's our app for time tracking and clock in and clock out management. Basically, Q Time is used across our organization and has 30,000 active users throughout the Philippines and across the world. And they basically use it to manage their remote working schedule when they're working for clients, or when they're working for an organization like a division in our company, when they start their day, they clock in, they mention what they're working on in that period. When they take a break, they clock out, and etc. Our HR and our accounting division also use Q time to manage all of our payroll and everything of that nature. So our whole organization runs on top of Q time essentially. And like I said, like 30,000 other users use it as well. So. Okay, so this is the QTime sign up screen. It's a super easy process. I'm sure you've done this before. Working with any other app, it's a pretty standard form. You just go in, fill out your email, your name, the phone number, and then the team name if you're signing up for the team for the first time. So this will be your URL for QTime. So in this example, it'll be like design.qtimesoftware.com. So it's for a design team, of course. That team name is unique throughout the system, by the way. Then you'll get a verification email. So once you get that, you'll go in, you'll click the link to set up your account fully. You just add a password. It'll ask you to confirm the password, of course. Obviously, you want to try and use something strong. Don't just use ABC123. Try and use a nice strong password. And then once you finish the setup process there, you'll be redirected to sign in. And once you sign in, it'll prompt you to either do the quick tour or to click out of it and then just get right into it. From there, you can go and manage the team members. So you'll just go in, click add member, and do an invite. In the attendance summary screen, you'll be able to see the time logs for different members on your team. So you'll be able to see who was there, what days. And then on the time log screen, you'll be able to see the exact time in and time outs. And then you'll be able to manually add time logs if necessary. If you have any issues, you can contact support, of course, and we'll try and get that sorted out for you. From there, we'll explore the member screen. So this is basically what you use to clock in and clock out. So you'll see it's just a simple screen. You start your time log. You can add a bit of a note for your time log, what you're working on, or if it's starting your shift, what have you. We tried to make that as flexible as can be. And then, here we're exploring that time log screen, and you can see that somebody has clocked in, and you can actually see the note and the comment there. And then this is the clocking out essentially. And once you clock out, it'll actually, of course, record that, and it'll compute the amount of time that you've worked on it. And that's the gist. It's a pretty simple system, and we made it to be flexible. If you have any feature requests or concerns, just hit that contact support button and let us know.
Sure, yeah. So QTime really came about because we needed to be able to manage our remote workforce. We wanted to be able to have people clock in and clock out remotely, to be able to manage their time when they're taking breaks, to make HR's job easier, etc. And so it really arose from the needs that we had as an organization, which are needs that I think a lot of people have at this point, especially over the last year and a half. Remote work has continued to become the norm, and likely it's here to stay. So yeah, that's really where it came out of. So during development, we follow kind of an agile approach, and we subscribe to doing an MVP first, where we're really trying to do the bare minimum of what we need so that we're able to test and get feedback from our users. So, it started out as just log in and log out, and that was it, and then as our users give feedback to us, or our accounting and HR gave feedback to us, we would hear, I want to be able to log what I'm working on, or we need to be able to track employee IDs, for instance. And so the cycle was really, we would do the most important things, or the smallest things that we could, and we would incrementally make updates and get feedback from the people that were using it, and then we would take that feedback and turn it into actionable insights, and that's really how it progressed. Scaling the application, of course, becomes an issue at some point. When you have thousands and thousands of users that are on it, then you have to make sure that it's architected properly and it's working correctly. And then I guess making sure that the right people are getting the data that they need. This would be like managers are getting the data and they can see what they need, or accounting is getting the right reports out of it, etc. And we were able to overcome all of that through the feedback of the users and working with the development team. So getting that constant feedback cycle is really critical for an application like this. Yeah, absolutely. We get requests for the potential of like leave management, for instance, being able to have shifting schedules. Uh, we do get lots of requests on the types of features, and when we're trying to prioritize those based off of what we're hearing, the number of people that request certain things, and kind of how much impact it can have on the process that the users go through.
So picking a best tool is difficult, I guess, because it really depends on how you work. Some people are very visual, and they like, like a Kanban board, like Trello. Some people are very list oriented, and they just want a straight list of tasks and reminders. And some people don't even like software. They like to do bullet journaling. So I don't think that there's like a best tool in general. I think the best tool is the one that works the best for you and your workflow. Something that you can commit to, you can use regularly, something that helps you stay on top of what you're doing, helps you remember everything. That would be the best tool for me. I don't think I can pinpoint one specific piece of software that is the best overall or anything, but yeah, I guess a flexible tool like Airtable might be a good place, because you can really customize it to what you need. Monday.com also is very customizable. And so, at least that way you can craft it around your needs. That's a good question. Yeah, no, project management definitely helped me get to where I am today. The thing about project management is that there are so many different facets involved with it. You're working with the development team on projects. You're working with designers. You're working with clients and communicating with them. So the way that project management really helps is it gives you varied experiences. It helps you learn how to juggle your own time. It helps you learn how to communicate better with people, helps you understand the process of projects, how long some things take, so that you can help manage expectations with your clients. So it was definitely an integral part of my growing and getting to where I am now. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Pick a system and stick to it, whether that's like bullet journaling, or, just using your calendar for everything. Like me personally, everything that I do ends up on my calendar. If I'm going to set aside time for email, I put it on my calendar and I block it off, and I don't let other things interrupt that time. that system may not work for you. Lots of people use different systems. Maybe a task manager is better for you, but pick a system that works for you and stick to it and put everything in there. Put your lunch break in there when you're going to go on break. When you're going to do calls, make sure that you have that in there. Log notes, copious notes, so that you don't forget what's happening. If you're on a call with a client, make sure to take lots of notes. You can't trust your memory to always remember every single detail. So yeah, just pick a good system and stick to it is the best advice I have there.
So I guess, one of the things to really keep in mind with project management is that it's frequently underrated, I guess you could say. Normally, like if you're a developer freelancing, you're going to focus on development, of course. If you're a designer freelancing, you're going to focus on your design work. But as you scale your freelancing and you're taking on more and more clients, project management really becomes a cornerstone or a key component of managing your freelancing business, because you have to be able to schedule your time, schedule your work. You have to know how much work you can take on, when you'll be able to deliver things, and to maintain expectations with your clients. And that's really centered around project management. One of the things I've been harping on over and over in this is the communication aspect. And I'll harp on it again, because I really don't think that you can say too much about being able to communicate well. And that's really part of project management. So yeah, I think that it's underrated, and focusing on it may not seem critical when you first start and you only have a couple of clients, and you're working on just a WordPress theme that you have a month to do or something like that. But as you continue to scale your freelancing, you'll find that you really need to develop that project management system. So don't put it off too long. Make sure that you invest in the right tools that work for you, and you're willing to learn and grow.
Thank you, Bern, for gracing another Tao Tuesday episode. This time, giving best practices and life learned tips on managing priorities and managing basically all the project or your projects as a whole. He mentioned, of course, the importance of communication, communicating to the client, your expectations, the proper setting of deadlines, and all that. And of course, finding out what is the best tools or the best practice for you, whether you're someone who wants to automate maybe your to-do list, or you're someone who's very manual and would like to write them all down. And then I guess it's really an exploration of how you work as a professional and as a freelancer. So thank you again very much. Thank you again to Bern for that inspiring talk, and for the walkthrough as well with Q Time. Now, next up, we have AC Mendoza to share her take on how she balances multiple priorities, especially if they tend to overlap. Now, AC is a People and Culture Officer at August 99. Right, AC?
Hello, my name is AC. I'm part of the People and Culture team at August 99. Currently, I'm doing recruitment, engagement, retention, and employee discipline. We also provide HR services to our internal and external clients. I started my career in the BPO as a recruitment coordinator, supporting the non-agent recruitment of the company. I was doing the administrative tasks of being a recruiter, so that's handling scheduling and preparing all the necessary documents for the candidates and new hires. Then I moved my way up to handling end-to-end recruitment, meaning from sourcing to onboarding. After a few years, I've decided to move on to a startup e-commerce company. And here I was actually introduced to the different or other facets of HR besides recruitment. Up to now with August 99, I've been here for almost 2 years already, and being continuously exposed to almost all of the other facets of human resources. We have also embraced a work from anywhere setup. So we're looking into, providing the best benefits we can give our employees. And it also allowed us to tap talents outside of NCR, and we already have, employees in Visayas and Mindanao. Um, I started my career back in college, actually. My organization back then was focused on organizational development. We even partnered with the Department of Education to be able to, focus or do some focus group discussions with the scholars of the government. Then I was also part of the recruitment team that was actually in charge of basically sustaining the organization with new members every year and thinking of new ways to engage with everyone in the organization. What are the different types of projects that I have worked on? Well, it's mostly about documentation, process improvement, HR services, and engagement activities within the company and even specific groups within it. Being in this type of career, I was able to, work with different types of people when it comes to their work ethics, personalities, and their actually general approach when it comes to things. And most of these clients are in the tech and IT industry. Some of the common challenges I've encountered in handling and managing different types of projects, well, it's really more of managing my time and making sure that I am able to maximize the 8 hours I have at work. It also is about, learning how to prioritize the tasks at hand and knowing the deadlines of each so that I know what I need to finish at a specific date. So as an example, we are currently handling projects internally and externally for our clients. So prioritizing tasks, writing my to-dos, breaking it down to, two categories, which are urgent and important, and important but not urgent. So I know which ones I need to finish today, this week, and what can be pushed back to, the coming days instead. It's also really important that I plot my meetings, to-dos, and even focus time in my calendar. So I am prompted every time I have an upcoming task or meeting. It also gives visibility to the other members of the team of what I'm basically doing at a specific hour. I also have queue time where I log my tasks so I know and I can also see how long or how much of my time is being taken by a specific project. This is also applicable to, not just your professional time management, but can also be used to your personal atmosphere. Okay, some of the most common or one of the most common questions that, us recruiters have during interviews regarding time and project management is how do you manage multiple tasks by with, overlapping deadlines? So basically, you can answer this by, sharing the best practices that you have or what works for you. So if you're using like a specific online tool or you're the pen and paper type of person where you have to write down your tasks and to-dos on a daily basis. So we need to learn how to manage, our tasks and time wisely, given that the reality we have now is everyone has a lot of tasks and overlapping deadlines, may it be personal or professional. Some tips and I'd say recommendation or piece of advice I can give our freelancers and applicants when it comes to, time management and project management is that, it's not a one size fits all type of time and project management. That's why it's really important that you know what works for you and what will keep you sane by the end of the day.
All right. Thank you, AC, for giving time and sharing your insights as a knowledge based professional. I do agree with AC, and what AC shared is something close to heart, not only because she's my teammate and not only because I worked in the human resource or people and culture field, but I do agree, and it's a personal best practice to set focus time or time block for you to really take charge and address an important or urgent task or a deadline. So again, thanks AC for that one. Now for all those who just tuned in, again a reminder that for today's Tao Tuesday episode, we're basically talking about better project management as a freelance developer, of course including our tech experts and creatives. Now for all those freelancers out there. Before we head on to our third and final speaker, I'd like to remind that TaoCrowd is continuously expanding the community, and we're basically looking for more freelancers to join the team. We are looking for these key positions The first one is the WordPress front end web developers. We're also looking for full stack developers, software engineers, SEO specialists. What else? Content writers, project managers, and virtual assistants. Now, if you're interested, if you fit the bill, you have the portfolio to show for, please don't hesitate to head on to the website. That's TaoCrowd.com. So you'll be able to apply and learn more about the community, the perks of joining, and all the other opportunities that we extend to our partners. All right, now we're down to our final speaker for this afternoon, and we have our very own TaoCrowd's Business Development Manager, John Soriano, who'll share his ideas on project management and basically how honing this skill will be cost effective for you in the long run as a freelancer and as a professional. So, John, take it away.
Hey guys, welcome. My name is John. I am a business development manager from TaoCrowd. Although I consider myself a designer by trade, maybe not in the usual way people think about designers, but I'll put it in a way Steve Jobs would put design, and it's not about how it looks, but how something works. So what I was really, really passionate about is more of the system, right? And right now I'm just trying to learn how that system works, how everything works together, and then figuring out how that system grows. Just to give you a very quick background about myself, I'm not usually I don't usually talk about this, but I did not really follow a very linear path when it came to my career. It's not as if I graduated college and then became a designer and then became a design lead. It's not as straight as that. It's more of I was really just genuinely following what I was curious about at that time. So at that time, I was interested about creating things, designing things, and making things look good. That curiosity, I guess, like when you're in the path of design, right? At first, you're interested about making things look good, but then later on, you realize that it's much more calculated than that. So that gave me a lot of questions about why consumers would behave in a certain way. Like, why would we use this color to make them buy something? Or why are menus built in a certain fashion? And that was really where I started my career. So I started out as a graphic designer and a copywriter, and because of my interest in marketing, I went to Ateneo, continuing education. My design became a bit more marketing oriented. Learning about product market fit, trends of consumer behavior, brand marketing, and it just allowed my design work to have more value than it did before. I said earlier, I did a variety of different jobs. I did accounts management for a creative in the creative industry. I did outbound sales, and now I'm kind of looking more towards product development. And really, what this allows me, or this enables me in a way where it gets me to understand businesses in a more holistic view. And today we're talking about better project management for freelance developers. A lot of freelancers I know in the Philippines are more like really entrepreneurial. Like you have your own business, you have control over your time, and you're figuring out how to effectively manage these projects, right? That summarizes my introduction. Basically, like, let's just dive into it. Projects or project management. I was thinking about the term because I'm not
I'm not sure if it was something that's common in university, but like everybody has done a project once, at least once in their lives, and basically in my head, projects are more of like it's more of like you're a group of people going to a destination together, and a system that allows a project for a system enables good project management, right? It enables how you communicate as a team and how you get to the destination that all of you are headed to. And yeah, so since I've been working on different roles, right, I have had the chance to work on different types of projects and with different levels of people in the organization. I've experienced designing menus, like print menus for restaurants, doing print advertising, like even those small call to actions in the middle of the table where, I don't know, you buy a drink. I've created brand identities before, so that's kind of like one project that I really like doing, but I don't do as often as before. And currently, I'm working on a project with TaoCrowd's partners, and we're currently figuring out how the system works and how we can transform the pricing model and how the process can gear towards more an improved service delivery. And that's one project that we're currently doing. And when these kinds of projects arise, like there are challenges that are kind of similar. So, there are plenty of challenges that you'll encounter when you're handling or managing different kinds of projects. And I think the most common thing that people get wrong is managing or communicating expectations clearly, right? So, and when you're misaligned, right, it really endangers how you complete a project. When a group of people don't know where they're headed, that project is bound to fail, and it will end up costing a lot more in time, and it will end up costing a lot more resources. So I can already say from experience that plenty of teams suffer from communication issues, mainly because, especially here in the Philippines, where, and I'm just talking anecdotally, I'm not saying the Philippines is just like this, but there's a lack of people raising their hand when a problem arises. So, because, sometimes maybe it's a lack of ownership. Maybe they don't want to be responsible for a problem or a future problem. But this is usually the sickness in, or really that's why it's a challenge. So a lack of communication and misalignments with any stakeholder of the project. When you don't have insight into the work others are doing also, then it'll lack context to understand why sometimes timelines can shift, or whether priorities remain the same, or even how the whole project is progressing. It's like, you think about a project, it has subtasks, and everybody needs to know what those different subtasks are, regardless of what tasks you're assigned to. So everybody needs to have a clear understanding of why all these subtasks are important to the project. So just tackling that sentiment when it comes to a lack of communication with freelancers, for example. It's just people just tend to agree without really understanding why they're doing what they're doing. And when people misalign like that, they tend to get suboptimal results. Like I'm not saying the job can't be done I'm saying it's not the best job that you'll be delivering. So to overcome these challenges, right, one of the things that I really realized, I really had to get into the habit of over communicating to everyone that's involved in the project. Like I met up with every single stakeholder, every single guy assigned to a task, and make sure that they know why their task is important. And really, just this could be a little bit tricky, mainly because if you're spending huge amounts of energy and time in making sure you're aligned, that's kind of an opportunity cost in a way, and it takes away from other high-level business decisions. So let's say you're a full-time project manager, and I mean, if you're a full-time project manager, then that's exactly what your job is, making sure everybody's aligned, everybody knows what they're going to do. But if you have other things that it takes away from it, and that's why it's tricky. And that's why it's so important for companies, and I'm sure for freelancers too. It's so important to find a work management tool that works with you and allows to give you that visibility of the projects. And that's something like people can over communicate through a platform. If you have all the details there and it's constantly updated and the timelines are always shown there, it's a way to overcome that communication challenge. And there's all kinds of software available out there. Some of them are actually like free to use. For TaoCrowd, I believe it's Basecamp, right? But there are other options. There's Asana, there's Trello, there's Monday, there's Rike. Really a tremendous amount of resources available. And all of them, what they do is they equip you with the right tools to meet your project requirements. So I would suggest really looking into a work management tool that works for you. And maybe might even consider paying for the actual software. Like some free, like I said, some apps or some softwares are really free. But there was always a limitation before the paywall, and it might be an investment that's something you will benefit from now in the future. Okay, so one of the questions that are posted here is, what are your best practices to effectively manage different projects? So you have different projects running at the same time, and you're asking what skills do freelance developers should have? What skills should they have to effectively manage different projects? Okay, there are two things I want to share as best practices for freelance developers. One is, I think every freelance developer should have the ability to itemize tasks and benchmark the time they get those tasks done, right? Oh, by the way, just a disclaimer. I mean, everybody has their own style of work. That's something that I believe, like not everybody works the same way. So it's important to actually take it with a grain of salt. This is how it's worked for me. Not sure if it would work for you, but I hope it does. And I hope these tips would be useful for anybody who's watching this. But yeah, so my first tip is, I think everybody should have the ability to itemize a task. So when you list down those to-dos and being able to organize it in a way where I know how long that task takes me. Mainly because if you're a developer or you're doing something not necessarily robotic, but something that's calculated, like you've already done it before at a specific amount of time, then you could set a more accurate timeline for your deliverables. And I usually mark, with my personal preference, I usually mark tasks with 40-minute blocks. And it's just the following questions would pose, like, how many blocks do you operate in a day? And how many blocks does a specific task have? So, like I said, this is more preferential, I would say. It doesn't apply to everyone, and you can change the duration for each block however you prefer. If I'm not mistaken, the Pomodoro technique is like 25 minutes, and then like a 25-minute work block, and then like a 5-minute rest block. But I find it a bit short. Sometimes when I get into deep work, I just want to zone in and focus for quite some time, and usually 40 minutes does it, and then like a 15-minute rest in between. So yeah, you again itemize tasks, put it in 40-minute blocks. So does one task, or let's say I'm designing a poster, and I can design a poster in 3 blocks. That means 120 minutes, right? And that's how much of your work hours in the day. So now, because you've allotted certain because you've itemized your tasks and you've put them in blocks, and it's blocked out in your schedule, you are able to communicate very clearly to all your other stakeholders how long it's going to take for you to complete the task. This is just more of a skeleton and a structure, right? Sometimes things get delayed, or we're not robots. So sometimes a poster, sometimes you lack creativity for doing a poster, and then and then I need like, I don't know, 5 more blocks for this. That happens, and it creates an avenue for us to say that I need more time. There's nothing wrong with that. So just, sorry, I digress, but the important part is that you know how long it takes, and you're able to organize it in minute detail. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2 is being able to say no. I think this is something that everybody, including myself, can learn from. I think one of the bigger pieces of advice with how we're seeing work being done today, you'll come across a lot of people who might want to rush your work or your process and tell you maybe you're too expensive or something along those lines. And maybe it's just not a fit, right? So sometimes better project management and managing multiple projects would entail you saying no to some projects, right? So stop trying to make things work for projects that just is not a good match for you, right? When you shortchange your process, and this later creates a less than optimal experience for the client, and you both end up unhappy. So I mean that I'm not saying anything different from being hospitable and being able to make sure that we're looking out for the client and making them happy, but that's not at the expense of order and how you manage your projects, and whether or not you have the bandwidth to be able to take on a project. So it all boils down again to communication and being able to control or manage expectations from the beginning of the relationship with the client. And down the road, when you get to pick and choose what projects you want to pick up or not, this will get you a lot more clients in terms of retention, a lot more success, and a lot more satisfaction with how you work, rather than really dealing with the clients you're never going to match with. So those are my 2 pieces of advice. I hope that's something or somehow useful for the people that are viewing this webinar. The next question is, how do you think effective time management and project management helps in revenue generation? But not just for companies, but also for freelancers. I think I tackled that in, not really tackled, but I brushed on it in my second piece of advice. So once you have your tools, once you have your processes, or your processes are in order, and everyone has a complete visibility on how the project is progressing, the whole system creates a really good experience for clients, right? Um, on the commercial aspect of the business, one a top priority is really customer retention, right? You have you might want to have more and more clients, but as a freelance developer, you can only take on this amount of projects. Not unless you hire more developers and then you start your own business in a company, but you'll only be able to manage a certain amount. And maybe when you've chosen those clients very carefully, you've chosen who to work with, what kind of projects you deal with, then that might be um, a very good amount. And your goal as a business or a freelancer is to retain them, make sure that whenever they have the need for the service that you provide, that they will come to you. So when you deal with clients and you've successfully managed the project with the system that you've created for yourself, and they just have a wonderful customer experience, they will absolutely become a returning customer for you. And that's one of the outputs or outcomes of process optimization. You get more client retention, you improve revenue generation over time. Yeah, I think that sort of summarizes everything. I hope that some of the things I've said will help you in the future. And yeah, we hope to see you again in the next Tao Tuesday webinar. Thanks.
Thank you, John, for that insightful talk. What I learned is something that Bernd also shared. I guess John seconded Bernd's ideas that communication is important, a vital important part of project management. If you really want to be successful and meet all your deadlines, there are really multiple components in being able to really hone this particular skill. Also, thank you to Burn again and to AC for sharing their feedback with the rest of our viewers today. Now, I guess in summary, what we've learned so far is that communication is important as a freelancer, as a professional, being able to set expectations, being able to set boundaries as well. Don't over exhaust yourself. Set boundaries with your managers, with your clients. What else? I guess an offshoot to that is time management. So give time to urgent tasks, give focus time block, use tools, apps. Maraming na mention na apps that are also free. You can download them or use the web app for those kinds of tools to manage all your deadlines. And when you explore all these kinds of software, it's also important to find the one that fits your work dynamics. So, are you someone who really wants to automate everything, use an app, or are you also someone who wants to use an app and wants to write them all down? Or maybe you're more in the traditional side of things where you want everything written down and ticked off rather at the end of the day. So yeah, I guess those are some of the important summaries or takeaways that I learned from this afternoon. And I hope you learned a thing or two as well from these life learned experiences and these best practices shared by our speakers for today. Now, again, if you want to learn more about TaoCrowd, please visit the website. It's taocrowd.com. The TaoCrowd is also on various social media platforms. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're also on YouTube. So please just search TaoCrowd to find all our accounts there. Thank you so much for tuning in, for giving time. Thank you and cheers to all our partners for being with us for one whole year. And we look forward to more fruitful years with you. We made it to year one. Congratulations, everyone. And again, this is Bernice from August 99 and from Tao Crowd signing off. See you at our next Tao Tuesday.